Have you always wondered which of these two popular Swedish metal bands is really overrated and which one isn't? Today we're going to sort that out once and for all. That's right, today we're doing something different. I want to play a game. Being Swedish myself, I feel like I can make this video without offending anyone. Of course, people will be offended. I might say something negative about your favorite band. Basically the worst thing anyone could ever do. But let's move forward anyway. Like any good game, we first need to establish some rules. And like any set of rules, these are bound to be arbitrary, but here they are. But just real quick before we get to that, I'm running a bit of an experiment right now, and it'd be really cool if you do end up watching this till the end, if you're one of those people, those rare unicorns out there, if you can consider leaving a like, or maybe even consider subscribing to this weird world we got going on here. That'd be really cool. All right, here are the rules. We will look at two popular Swedish metal bands at a time. Bands that I know well. I'll explain to you why one is overrated and why one isn't. Kind of like a battle of the bands. A battle of the bands. Each band gets one sentence each. We'll move quickly today. Admittedly, overrated is a pretty worthless term to use here, but it gets the job done and gets the idea across. Bands that I don't care for as much as the general metal-liking population seem to. Or another way to put it, bands where the feelings they evoke in me does not seem to align or correlate with the amount of aggregated plays and sales typically thought of as reflecting a collective notion of a similar improvement. How about that? An alternative angle or title here could be something like why I prefer band X over band Z, or Y, or M. But it's just not as catchy, is it? No, it's not. So I feel like my hands were a bit tied by the game here. Anyway, I've talked enough. Let's just get started. So I can talk way more in just a second. In Flames. Made some cool albums in the early 2000s, but I never felt like they deserved to be the biggest band to represent Swedish metal death. Dark Tranquillity. Best metal band to ever come out of Gothenburg. Or Göteborg, as we say. Avatar. It's hard not to rate a band with awesome charisma and capable of writing songs like Bloody Angel and Gun. Ghost. Not metal. Amon Amarth had a really strong decade with a cool sound, but has subsequently abandoned their death metal influences, and this new heavy metal-ish sound just doesn't work for me at all. Meshuggah. Even if the music isn't my favorite style, it's impossible to not be impressed with what Meshuggah has achieved and at their insane level of mastery. Pain of Salvation. Best band to ever come out of Sweden, and capable of writing some of the most gut-wrenching, beautiful, and emotionally charged music I have ever come across. Amaranth. The metal band for people who wish metal didn't have to sound like metal. Opeth. One of the more unique metal bands of the last 25 years or so, and with songwriting to die for. Sabaton. I was an early fan and met the band back in 2006, but it sometimes feels like nothing much has changed since then. Arch Enemy. Killer songwriters, and they don't seem capable of writing a bad album. The Halo Effect. Super solid band, but we can still listen to the originals and relive the early 2000s that way, can't we? Evergrey. Despite A Touch of Blessing having such an impact on me as a 14-year-old, I've always felt like something is just missing with Evergrey. So, at least I think that's how you say it. Beautiful music, and once they transcended their obvious Tool influences, they really found their own incredible sound. Catatonia. If there was ever a band to represent the sound of Swedish melancholy, it's probably Catatonia. At the gates. I just don't get it, and probably never will. Alright, now that we're all good and a bit riled up, I just want to say that I don't like to talk on music or bands in general. I much prefer to focus on music I do like, but I hope you can still tell that this was just a bit of light fun and definitely not meant to be taken seriously at all. Maybe In Flames is the band that represents the memories of that first love, or Arch Enemy reminds you of that older friend who inspired you to pick up the guitar. Opeth was your first festival experience, and Sabaton was the band on repeat when you studied like crazy for the last few months before graduating. An attack on those bands becomes an attack on formative years and experiences. Deeply personal experiences, and we can't always be rational and separate these things. And besides, who is anyone to tell somebody else how to feel about a specific work of art? that's certainly not for me to say. That's between you and the song. And it could be that something in that song is just, it's lost on me, but meant the world to you. Many of us can probably relate to the feeling of being saved by music at some point. And some of the bands I count as my all-time favorites, I'm not so convinced I would have loved them as much if I discovered them today. I love them because of the role they played in the trajectory of my life and my musical journey. That's why I don't think it's my place to talk down on music. On any music, I just don't like doing that, so my apologies to all the overrated bands mentioned in this video. You definitely rock. Now, do yourself a favor and go check out all these bands and let me know which one is your favorite. Take care and thank you for watching. Bye bye. That's why